Me, if I'm going, Ice Cube is a motherfucking lyricist.
I can't stand Ice Cube.
That's crazy.
I'm not a fan of him lyrically or acting wise.
Really?
Yeah, no, he knows this because I looked at him like, yo. You heard what he just said, right?
50 Cent chases down Aries Spears for talking slick about Ice Cube, and it's as brutal as it sounds. The rap mogul goes all in, dragging Spears' name through the mud without a second thought. When 50 Cent goes in on Aries Spears, you already know it's game over.
So you don't feel Ice Cube as a lyricist?
Not at all.
Aries Spears set off a storm the second he opened his mouth on Big Boy's neighborhood. Out of nowhere, he calls Ice Cube trash as both a rapper and an actor. Not playful, not tongue-in-cheek, but bitter, almost like he had a score to settle.
Hey, Miss Jenkins, I looked at your chart. Now get up on that thing.
That's racist. I don't know how it's racist, but what you just did is racist.
It's racist, and it's some cold shit that I'm not gonna say.
The tone made people lean in because this wasn't comedy. This was straight disrespect. And when you throw dirt at someone like Cube, you're not just throwing shade at a rapper or an actor. You're throwing it at a man who's been a cultural backbone for decades.
It's a subjective opinion. I'm allowed to not like Ice Cube.
From NWA breaking through the walls of censorship in the late 80s, to launching a solo career with America's Most Wanted, to building a Hollywood resume with box office smashes like Friday Barbershop and 21 Jump Street, Cube is a legend stamped in two different worlds. That's why people weren't laughing when Aries made his comments. They were shaking their heads like, who is Aries Spears to even talk like this?
Dude, I don't know if we continue this conversation or if we're supposed to like pack him out right now.
And that question mattered because Aries Spears hasn't been in the spotlight for years. Once a name tied to MADTV, he never broke through the way other comedians did.
Be real, I've done this podcast 1,000 times. It's just not my flavor to my ear.
While Cube was selling platinum records and producing movies, Aries was known for impressions and the occasional podcast rant. So when the diss dropped, it felt lopsided, like a neighborhood comic trying to tear down the cornerstone of the block. Fans instantly framed it as disrespect, and comedy circles were buzzing. This wasn't a playful jab, this was a man swinging at a monument.
The N-word you love to hate, all the shit with NWA. Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted album, one of the best hip-hop albums to me, bro.
Don't do it for me at all.
Really?
Now, Ice Cube isn't someone who feeds drama for clout. He's built his career on discipline, longevity, and respect. But when a line gets crossed, he doesn't just sit there. And this time, Cube fired back. His response was sharp, calculated, and honestly brutal. He dismissed Aries Spears as irrelevant and unfunny. Not just unfunny in a set, but irrelevant in the entire comedy game. That line cut deeper than anything Aries said because Cube didn't even argue about the music or the movies.
I had sold a lot of records with America's Most Wanted and I think Kill It Will. And I wanted an advancement on my next record.
Fans rushed to Cube's side because they knew he wasn't just defending himself. He was putting Aries in his place. It wasn't about ego, it was about respect. And the irony here? The battle looked like David versus Goliath. Goliath flipped upside down. Aries was supposed to be the little guy, the comedian with the punchline. But instead of being David, he came off as the heckler in the back row, trying to throw rocks at Goliath while the crowd boos him for even trying.
Right, and when you see, if I wasn't saying anything, guess what? You could safely say that a person on the outskirts that is not involved in hip-hop culture could think that everybody in hip-hop culture is with that shit.
And just when people thought the fire was about to burn out, in walks 50 Cent. And if there's one man who doesn't play when it comes to defending icons, it's him. 50 saw the Aries Spears comments and decided to go full bulldozer. He publicly clowned Aries, straight up saying he had never even heard of him. And coming from 50, that wasn't just an insult. That was a career obituary. Because if the guy who has spent the last 2 decades clowning his enemies tells the world you don't even exist on his radar, that stings worse than 1,000 jokes. But 50 didn't stop there. He went on to underline how ridiculous it was to disrespect Ice Cube. 50's message was simple. If you come at Cube, you're not just picking a fight with one man. You're stepping into a ring where legends are going to protect their own. His defense of Cube wasn't just loyalty, it was enforcement. Almost like the street code applied to Hollywood. Respect the bosses or get checked. And Aries Spears? He wasn't ready for that smoke.
I can't go at you about the East, because every rapper that you name from the East, I pretty much fuck with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
the Rakims of the world, I fuck with, so on and so forth.
The fallout was clear. Social media dragged Aries, fans mocked him, and comedians distanced themselves. What was supposed to be a hot take turned into a cold reminder of where Aries really stands in the culture. And the wild part? This wasn't even Cube fighting at full power. This was Cube flicking a fly off his shoulder and 50 Cent stomping on it for good measure.
I was like, dude, don't play with me.
Now, let's get to the real heart of why 50 even cared enough to jump into this mess in the first place. On the surface, 50 Cent chases down Aries Spears for talking slick about Ice Cube, and it's as brutal as it sounds. The rap mogul goes all in, dragging Spears' name through the mud without a second thought. When 50 Cent goes in on Aries Spears, you already know it's game over. Aries Spears set off a storm the second he opened his mouth on Big Boy's neighborhood. Out of nowhere, he calls Ice Cube trash as both a rapper and an actor. Not playful, not tongue-in-cheek, but bitter, almost like he had a score to settle. Meanwhile, 50 built his own empire with Power and BMF, shows that literally dominate ratings.
I was mad, and I called them coward cocksuckers. So now their response is, this nigga openly gay.
So when Aries Spears came for Cube, 50 didn't just see a comedian taking a cheap shot. He saw someone trying to clown one of the blueprints of hip-hop evolution. Cube is like the OG general who stormed the gates first, so artists like 50 could follow behind and set up their kingdoms. For 50, defending Cube wasn't just personal, it was about protecting hip-hop's legacy. It was like a soldier guarding a general, except this soldier also happens to be one of the most ruthless trolls alive. And that's why the clapback hit so hard.
And I go, Willie, it's a subjective opinion. I'm allowed to not like Ice Cube. I know, man, but Aries, man, he was on me.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets messy. Most people, after being roasted by Ice Cube and then blasted by 50 Cent, would bow out gracefully. Not Aries Spears? No. Instead of just moving on, Aries decided it was a good idea to double down. In follow-up interviews, he claimed he was just giving his subjective opinion.
That's him in every fucking movie. No depth, no range. And this is why it pisses me off as a comedian when they cast rappers in comedies. Because as a comedian, we're going to bring our natural God-given talent to a script where we go, this is funny, but now let me sprinkle my talent on it and elevate it.
He said Cube never really moved him musically or as an actor. Like Cube wasn't one of the most influential artists of the last 3 decades. The problem is, doubling down didn't make him look confident. It made him look desperate, almost like he was begging for people to still talk about him.
Hey, see, Rayvon is this list. Rayvon's just trying to start some shit. I'll see you soon, Rayvon.
I don't know who Rayvon.
Meanwhile, Cube's supporters rallied around him like a cultural army. Other comedians chimed in, hip-hop heads defended Cube's legacy, and fans clowned Aries for even thinking he had the credibility to throw shade. Online, the narrative solidified quickly. Cube is an untouchable legend, but Aries is a bitter, forgotten comic.
By the way, that's crazy. When you talk about like two classic albums, right?
Yeah.
And they're out and they've sold and like it's not like people found them later. Like those were giant albums.
Yes.
And here's the deeper reason all of this hits so hard. Disrespecting Ice Cube isn't the same as critiquing just any rapper or actor. Cube's impact isn't measured in just record sales or box office numbers. It's in how he shaped the way hip-hop could exist outside of music. He expanded the blueprint for everyone who came after him, Disrespecting Cube is like dissing the foundation of the house you're living in. It just makes you look dumb.
Throw little and you don't throw out allegations, but like you kind of poke fun at them.
You just ask questions.
You don't.
And that's why 50 stepped in so fiercely. He knew this wasn't just about defending one man, it was about defending what Cube represents: longevity, reinvention, and power. 50's always been about legacy and respect, and he wasn't about to let a comedian with no cultural weight throw dirt on one of the pillars of the game. So when Aries Spears thought he was just cracking jokes, what he really did was step into a minefield. Cube fired back, 50 went nuclear, and social media buried him under memes and receipts. By the end of it, the message was clear. You don't play with Cube's name, not if you value your career or your dignity. So, yeah, subscribe to the channel to get more spicy stories like this one.